Hey all, welcome back to my channel Higher Ready. Do you know what is the common mistake that most of the engineering colleges or IT training centers are doing? They'll teach us some applications when they are learning about some concepts. But they do not teach them clearly. They do not teach them in industry how it is being applied. They do not teach them how it is making sense when it comes to business. That is very much important when you go to survive in real world, when you go into industry. So in this video, we are going to clearly see the applications of linear regression and how that application is actually making sense, how they are going to make money out of it. So without any delay, let's get started. So the first application of linear regression is sales forecasting. Based on the historical data that I have from my company, from my business, what I can do is I can predict my future sales. Let me make it much easier to understand. So look into this diagram. What you see. So it is one of the historical sales data in which x-axis has values like month, specifically January, February, and all the month values. In y-axis, what we have is sales. 200k in this January month. In this February month, what is the sales? So based on the points, you can find what is the sales that happened in that particular month. So now, how linear regression is being used here? Do you know what is linear regression first of all? So in previous video, we saw that clearly. If you missed that video, make sure you pause this video, go back and watch that video, then come back. Then why? Then you could clearly understand what I'm saying here. So now, in this scenario, sales forecasting is majorly focusing on time-based data. So look into this diagram. What is happening? Month-wise, we are predicting sales. So month is actually a time. We could also predict sales for a month or for a particular month. So what will be plotting on the x-axis then? It's specifically going to be a week data, week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, or it might be day data, day 1, day 2. So all the, if we, this particular month has 30 or 31 days or 28 days, all the dates will be plotted on x-axis and y-axis, the sales based on date will be plotted. So you can do day-wise sales analysis, you can do week-wise sales analysis, you can do month-wise sales analysis. Even if you have big data, like if you have 20 years data, you can do this plotting for year-wise. So that is how you can clearly understand how data is making changes based on time, how data is being changed based on time. So in such scenario, what is the purpose of it? What I can get out of it? So, important term that you need to remember when it comes to linear regression is independent and dependent video. We have already seen in the previous video, but I'm giving just an overview of what it is. Independent variable is something that we use for predicting the dependent variable. That I mean the target variable. Dependent variable is something that we predict using independent variable. So, in this data, which is independent variable, which is dependent variable? Time. It might be day, it might be week, it might be month. The time is going to be a independent variable here. This is something we are going to use for predicting the dependent variable. What is dependent variable here? Absolutely, it is sales. Whatever we are going to plot in y-axis is actually the dependent variable, and whatever we are going to plot in x-axis is going to be the independent variable. This is something that I am saying to you for keeping it in mind. It will not work every time. Sometimes it might differ. Okay. So in this scenario, it is working this way. Dependent variable is something we'll be using it for predicting the independent variable is something we'll be using it for predicting the dependent variable. So dependent variable is also called as the target variable. Keep it in mind. What is the major goal of sales forecasting? If I use linear regression to predict my future sales, what I can do? With my historical data, if I have this year data and I'm predicting next year how the sales will happen, what I can do? The first step is you can avoid overstocking and understocking. What simply is overstocking and what is understocking? First of all, if I am running a business, my customers will come and purchase my products through offline or through online. If they are asking for a product, if I do not have enough stocks, that is called as understocking. Then what is overstocking? If I am selling some product that has expiry date, or from next year the product might not be trending, people might not be in need. So in such scenario, if I have so many stocks, the next year it is going to become a waste. The expiry date might come, or the product is not easy for us to sell in the next year. So in such scenario, if I am buying so many products more than what I actually need, that is called as overstocking. If I know exactly how my sales is going to happen in the next year, I can clearly avoid this problem of overstocking and understocking. That is how this sales forecasting is so powerful using linear regression. Linear regression is actually being applied. How it is actually applied when it comes to technical terms. How this regression model is understanding. That is what we are going to see. A regression line is fitted between the time and sales, what we saw on x-axis and y-axis, to learn the sales trend, increase or decrease over time. So the learned line is then extended to future months. Now see here in this data. If it is seeing a drop from February to March, this machine learning model is going to understand there will be a drop. Next, after March to April, it is getting increased. So this trend line, that model will understand it clearly. So for future years, it will give us a prediction. In this month, the sales might get reduced. In this month, the sales might get increased. So if I train using 5 or 6 years data, it may definitely make sense. It will definitely make sense, and it is going to give us clear insights which will be helpful in improving our business. So it is going to definitely help us in increasing the sales and getting more revenue out of it. That is how it is so powerful. Now let's see the benefits of linear regression when it comes to sales forecasting. I can clearly predict the future sales, using which I can avoid overstocking and understocking, and I can clearly increase my revenue. So it helps in inventory planning. If I am investing for my business, I can clearly plan it accordingly in a way I can get more profit, I can reduce the loss out of it. If I know which product is going to be sold in the future months, how I'm going to sell them, I can clearly invest in the right products and buy them right. So that is how it makes sense. Specifically, in getting profits, revenue, I can use the sales forecasting because I know what is going to happen. If I know clearly my business is going to see a downfall in the month of February or March or in some other months, what I can do is I can do marketing to get attention from people to tell more about my products. So the ones who really need that product will definitely come and get in the particular month where my sales will be dropping. So my business will not be facing any loss. So for making that kind of decisions, this problem of solving the sales forecasting is using linear regression is going to be very much beneficial. The second major application is house price prediction. How it is going to be making sense in such scenario. So let's see how it is going to make sense. First, look into this. What is unique here? The problem models that has direct relationship between house size and price. In this particular problem, what I have given is we are predicting price based on house size. But we do have so many ways to predict the house price. How? Based on number of rooms, based on how far it is from the main city. How many facilities do we have? Not just about the size. So here, if I am working as a seller, for example, in such scenario, when buying and selling land or by buying and selling houses, there will be three major people working around us: buyers, sellers, and banks. So, if I clearly predict what is the value of this house based on certain columns like house size or something, I can understand very clearly, is this house a worthy one? So is it okay to invest in this house? Does it make sense or not? So I can clearly understand that, right? So that is how linear regression is powerful. Let's see clearly how it makes sense. So if I am predicting my house price based on house size, so here house size is the independent variable using which I'm going to predict my dependent variable house price. So here, how this linear regression is going to work? We know very clearly linear regression is an algorithm. If a independent variable increases, dependent variable will also increase. So if the size of the house get increased, the cost of the house will also get increased. So once trained, if I trained my model, it can predict prices for new house sizes. If I am working as a seller and I'm getting so many houses for sales, right? In such scenario, I'm just entering the size of the house, or if I'm just entering the data like how far away it is from the city, how many rooms are there. If I'm entering any of the data, I can clearly get the price of the house. So if I am building an automated model, I can just use that for entering a data and getting an output. So that is how linear regression is such a powerful one in this particular application. So for quick property valuation, I can clearly evaluate how worthy this property is. Based on how far away it is from, based on the size, I can clearly figure it out. Then it is useful for buyers, sellers, and banks. For banks, if I could give loan for building the project, or if they are buying it, it is worthy or not. And it is useful for simple and interpretable pricing model. So in such scenario, if I am building any machine learning model to automate this task, so in such scenario, if in this particular case study, I can use linear regression algorithm because that is easy. It's going to easily understand because we are going to use just two columns, right? So in such scenario, it is super powerful than we actually think. The third algorithm, the third application that we are going to see is trend estimation, specifically in stock price trend estimation. We know that stock price, so the ones who invest in stocks are really earning more. But how it is actually happening? They clearly analyze and understand the data. Based on that, they will be investing. So for them, the most successful stock people ones who are investing in stock markets, they'll be having some people called data analyst, business analyst. They'll be analyzing the historical data and they'll give them the insights. So based on that, they will be investing in it. So only based on that, they are going to get more profit. The ones who are beginner to stock markets are not really getting so much benefits out of it. Do you know why? It's because of this. They are not doing analysis. They are not analyzing data. So analyzing my historical data and finding if there is any trend. If I may have my data like this, I'm plotting and seeing my data like this. If I see a drop on February, if I see a rise on February 10 and a drop on February 1, I can understand in next month it might happen. I can clearly understand how my data is changing based on this particular days. So I can understand something is changing, how changes are happening. From that, what I can get to understand before investing my money. So for that purpose, I can use linear regression. So the trend line will be very clearly visible. So if I am plotting it, so look into the stock market. So let's consider in x-axis I'm plotting some stock values and y-axis I'm going to predict them. So maybe even in house stocks I'm investing. Okay. So based on that, if I'm predicting, so in such scenario, I can clearly see the trend line, right? Where it is getting increased, where it is getting decreased. So if I'm drawing a straight line and to see if there are any differences, any fluctuations in my data, you can clearly understand it. So that is how linear regression is going to make sense here. And then stock data is noisy. And if I want to find the overall trend, not the prices. So here we are not finding any prices. I'm not going to see this 80K, 60K value will get decreased. No, there is a trend line. So see, there is a sudden decrease. There is a sudden increase that is called as trend. So based on that, I can understand what might happen in future. The same month, what might happen in future. So for that purpose, I can use the stock market analysis. So here the independent variable is absolutely the time, and dependent variable is the stock price. I am saying it again, we are not going to predict the stock price, but we are going to understand the trend. So I can clearly make a decision when investing. What are all the benefits we do have out of this? It reveals the long-term trend. If I have historical data for years, for months, I can clearly see where there is a fluctuation. So for that, I can use this. It reduces noise in the pricey data. If I'm just plotting and seeing, I cannot clearly understand, right? By seeing in the trend, I can clearly understand it. So it reduces noise in the price data. It is useful for financial analysis dashboards. The ones who are working as business analysts or data analysts, they are showing how we are investing in our products and how we are getting outcome out of it. So in finances, how you invested, how you got profit, how you got revenue out of it. In future, how you should invest. If they are giving that kind of suggestions, they should create financial analysis dashboards. For creating the dashboard, for creating the chart, I can use linear regression models. The fourth application is loan risk prediction. Do you know how banks are approving some loans and some loans are not being approved? Why? How it is actually happening? The major thing is the first reason based on your income. The second reason is you should have a backup. Like you should have a land, you should have a house. If you are not paying it properly, they will take, right? They'll take the land, or they will take the house or something that you are giving them as a backup. So in such scenario, the major thing that they are focusing on is your income. So if a bank is getting so many requests for loans, so in such scenario, if I'm getting 1,000 plus loan requests, handling the data is quite a tedious process, right? We need so many people to manage that. So in such scenario, what if I build an automated model using linear regression? Just based on income, I can move the next steps. I'm not immediately giving them the loan, but for next step of analyzing the backup plans or something, I can make the first step automated. If someone is sharing the income documents with proof and everything online, I can move to the next step of collecting another details. If the income is very less, for getting the apply, if they are applying for a particular loan amount, for that loan amount, if the income is very less, then they'll not be getting any approval or they'll not be moving further. I can automate this process. So here, the independent variable is income, and what I'm going to predict is default risk. So for bank, if I'm running a bank, it is going to be very useful for me. And for the ones who are applying for loans, instead of going and running for a bank and doing so many things and wasting their time, so they can save their time a lot in this process. So how linear regression is making sense here? So in such process, specifically for faster loan approval decisions, it is going to be very helpful. So it is not going to waste any time if they do everything online, right? So this linear regression model is going to clearly predict based on their income, based on loan, what they are expecting, is it possible for them to pay it back or not? So if it is possible, they will move further. If not, they are not going to move further. So it reduces manual judgment errors. So as a human being, there are possibilities they might make errors, but a machine learning model will not make errors as similar to human beings. So it is going to consistently evaluate the risk. In future, what if their income is getting reduced? So if it is getting connected to that, it will consistently evaluate the risk. In some cases, if the income is reduced, they'll contact that person and ask, are you having any issues in paying the loan back? If not, how will you be paying? So for everything, this could be used. The final application that we are going to see is, it's very much useful and it is going to be a lifesaver. It is health outcome prediction. Let's see how it actually works. Based on the patient age, if I am automating the process of finding their blood pressure, okay? So, based on a person age, the blood pressure might increase or decrease. Specifically around in 30, it will be normal. More than 30, there are high chances it might get increased or decreased. So for every patient in our hospital who are coming for regular checkup, for everything else, if I want to find out all the people who are elder than 30 and give them the update, you can take a blood pressure check. So it is going to be helpful in checking your health status. And I could give them updates what and all health status they should be checking based on their age. If all their data, if I could update the process, what is going to happen? It is going to benefit my patient. It's going to be very beneficial for my patients. If they cross the age of 30, you should come and check your blood pressure. You should check your sugar level. So it avoid the risk. If it suddenly increases a bit, if it increases a lot, anything might happen. So after 30, if they always do that constant checkup, it is good for them and it is going to be beneficial for the hospitals as well. So in two cases, it is going to be very beneficial. So this is just a single example. Even the heartbeat could be checked, even the BMI could be checked. So every health that they need to check and evaluate every month. For that, they'll be receiving updates. So if I automate this process, it is going to be beneficial for the patients as well as the doctors and also the business, the ones who are working in the hospital. So this is how this particular linear regression model is going to save someone else's life. If some particular health or issues or something that is getting increased or decreased, there are chances that that person particularly might get heart disease, heart attacks in future. So we can avoid that, right? By just helping them and giving suggestions to take care of their health. So this is how it is going to make so much of sense. This is how it is very powerful. I believe in this video, we clearly understood how powerful is this linear regression model. We didn't just see the applications. We saw in applications how it is making sense when it comes to business, when it comes to making money. That is what everyone should clearly understand when we learn applications. So, bye for now. We'll meet you in next amazing video. Bye.